What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today we are going to look at the brand new deck building set Valiant Smashers. So we're going to talk about whether it is worth buying or not buying this particular brand new side set with everything included. So we'll go over the brand new art types within this set, and we'll also go over the general pre-order prices as to whether or not we feel they are worth or not worth the investment. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So as I said at the start, Valiant Smashers is a brand new deck building set, introducing us to 3 brand new art types. We've got the Sentry Ions, we've got the Mementos, which I believe has also been extended to something a little bit more, but I'm just going to call them Mementos for ease. And then we've got the Valmonicas, which is a brand new Pendulum art type. The Mementos is a brand new art type revolving around one boss monster, but the artworks may look a little bit familiar. And the Centurions are a female-based mecha archetype, which puts monsters into the spell and trap zone. On top of that as well, the set does include 14 collector rares as well as 3 quarter century secret rares. One of them will be the Centurion main boss monster, which is this one here, the Centurion Regalia. And then of course you've got the Momento boss monster is also the Undercorpse Dragon is also a quarter century secret rare. And then rather than giving one to the Valmonicas to make it balanced, they gave it to Archlord Christia as one of its reprints. So let's talk about each of the art types and then we'll look at the values and whether we feel that they are worth them or not. Now, just as a quick preview, Centurions are the most expensive archetype out there, and then the Mementos are second and Valmonicas are third. So let's have a look at these Centurions. So we start off with, I believe this is an ultra rare. So the Premier is a level 4 light spellcaster tuner effect monster. You can only use each of the following, each of the first and third effects of this card's name once per turn. If it is normal or special, you get to add a Centurion card from your deck to the hand, except itself, and you cannot special summon Premier for the rest of the turn. While this card is treated as a continuous trap card, level 5 or higher, Centurion monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. During either main phase, if this card is currently treated as a continuous trap card, you can special summon it. So obviously the idea is that during either player's turn you get a searcher, and what Konami like to do is make the searchers of most decks a ultra rare for sure, or the highest rarity they can get away with in a core set. Tolidia, I believe, is also an ultra rare. So this one you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During the main phase, you can place both this card you control and one Centurion monster from your deck, except itself, face out into the spell and trap zone as a continuous trap card. Also, you cannot special summon Tolidia for the rest of this turn. During either main phase, if this card is currently treated as a continuous trap card, quick effect, you get to special summon this card, and then you can increase this card's level by 4. So I'm assuming we're going to be building up to some form of synchro during our opponent's turn. You've then got the Centurion Emeto. This one is a level 8 Earth machine. You can only use each of the first and second effect once per turn. During your opponent's turn, if this card is in the hand or graveyard, quick effect, you can target a Centurion monster you control, except itself, and place it face up into the spell and trap zone as a continuous trap card. And if you do special summon this card, also you cannot special summon itself for the rest of this turn. During either main phase, if this card is currently treated as a continuous trap card, again, special summon this card. Now the Regalia is of course a ultra rare as well. It is a generic synchro, which is quite interesting. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. If it's special summoned, you get to draw a card, then you can destroy your opponent's monsters with the highest attack, your choice if tied. Your monsters with 2000 or less attack cannot be destroyed by battle. And then during either main phase, quick effect, you get to place a non-synchro Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard face out into your spell and trap as a continuous trap card. So again, I can see the usage behind this of how good and consistent it is in order to kind of get everywhere it needs to go. Then moving on to the spell cards, we've got Stand Up Centurions. It's a field spell. You can only use the second and third effect once per turn. Can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects while you control a Centurion monster. During the main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can send one card from your hand to the graveyard to place one Centurion monster from your deck face up into your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap card. If a monster or monsters is special summoned immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon using monsters you control, including a Centurion monster. So obviously the idea is you get the field spell, you can start special summon out your Centurions, and then you're going to synchro summon higher. We've then got a quick play, so you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Place a sentry on monster from your hand or graveyard into your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. And then if a sentry on monster is synchro summoned to your field while this card is in the graveyard, you get to banish it. Target a sentry on monster in your graveyard and place it face out into your spell and trap zone. As you can see already, they've got huge levels of recursion as well. And then the trap card is Sentry on Phalanx. Only use each effect once per turn. Target a face on monster on the field, banish it. Then during the standby phase of the next turn, special summon it to its owner's field. You can banish this card from the graveyard. Target a Sentry on Synchro you control in your graveyard and special summon it, but it loses 1500 attack. And then they have a counter trap. You can only activate this card's effect once per turn. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you can send a face-on monster card in your spell and trap zone to the graveyard, and you get the activation if you do destroy it. So they pretty much got everything they need. So I'm just going to go over the price of all this Valiant Smashers. So if we look at tier 0 games, you can see boxes or a case of the box is 648, and then obviously use the discount code. You can see that a quarter century Archlord Christia is 125. Quarter century Centurion Legalitia is 100. And then the quarter century Momento is a £60. And then the highest collector's rare is the Centurion Legalitia collector's rare. So it's collector's rare and a quarter century. But as you can see, a Centurion deck core is £400 nearly, £395. But the fact of the matter is this comes with, and as you can see, they got 12 ultra rares. No, they got more than that. They got 15 ultra rares. So the Centurions are all ultra rares, super rares, collector rares, and quarter century rares. So as you can see, you've got the Premier, the Trudia, the Mecha, and then you've got the Legatia, and then you've got the Oath, which I believe is the field spell. No, sorry, Stand Up Centurion. Let's say, what's Oath? Can't be the quick play. Is it a quick play? I think it is the quick play, actually. Emblemed Oath. But you can see, quite like Vanquish Souls, yeah, it's the quick play. Is it the quick play? Oh, this is a different one. We haven't seen this yet. Place one Centurion monster in your spell and trap zone is King's Trap, and if you do, you cannot special monster for the edge there for the rest of the turn. It's Centurion monsters. While you control a face-up card with the same original name as the place card, set one Centurion spell and trap directly from your deck. You can only activate one emblem. Yeah, okay, so we haven't seen emblem yet. But basically, you can see that they've got all the high rarity stuff. It's quite like Vanquish Soul. They've been given everything. Now, the one thing I will say about these deck builder sets is that we know that Konami do like to give them future support, so that's not even in doubt. The question becomes whether that new support becomes meta or not. But when you move on to Mementos, and I'm just going to preview Mementos now, who is a quarter of the price for the entire core. And this one only includes 3 ultra rares, not 5. And then the rest are rares and then like 2 super rares. You kind of see a massive price difference. Now, I really like Mementos, but I like Mementos for the artwork because apart from their main boss monster, which cannot be normal summoned a set, it must be special summoned from the hand or graveyard by shuffling 5 other Memento monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard into the deck or extra deck, hopefully meaning that we get an extra deck monster in the future. While you control no other monsters, this card can attack each of your opponent's monsters once each. It is a 5k attacker and defender. And then once per turn, if your opponent activates an effect, you get to special summon a Memento monster from your hand or graveyard. And then, of course, doesn't this look familiar? That's right. Mementos are like bone creatures of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Artworks or old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. So this is obviously Tri-Horn Dragon. Memento Horn Dragon, only use the second effect once per turn. If there are 3 or more Memento monsters in your graveyard with different names, you get to special summon this card from the hand, but you can only special summon it once per turn. That way. If this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, you can target up to 3 cards on the field. Exactly 3 face-up cards on the field, including the Memento cards you control, and destroy them. And then you've got Seahorse. So again, this looks very familiar. It's a bone creature of a previous vanilla monster. You can only use the first and second effect once per turn. If you control no face-up monsters or all face-up you control Memento, you get to special on this card from hand. During the main phase, you can destroy 1 Memento monster you control, and if you do, send any number of Memento monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard, whose total levels are equal to or less than the destroy monster's original. Now, we already know we get one more future bit of support for this, and it's basically a Bone Karibo, which is pretty good for the day. It does give it a nice little upgrade. So yeah, I feel that if you're an old school fan of Yu-Gi-Oh and you like all of these old school cards, it might be worth looking into. Memento Witch. Now this is the first of the ultra rare. This is the most expensive. The second of the ultra rares, the most expensive one, as this is technically your starter / searcher. So if it's normal or special, you get to add a Memento card from the deck to the hand. Go figure. Except itself, you can target a level 2 or lower Memento monster in your graveyard, destroy a Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon that target. Pretty standard on that one. And then you've got the Bone Key Mace. So during your opponent's main phase, if you control Undercorpse Dragon, the Memento, which is basically your main boss monster, quick effect, you can discard this card, then target one face-up monster your opponent controls, gain control of it until the end phase. During your main phase, you can destroy one Memento monster you control, and if you do, add a Memento card from the deck to your hand, except itself. You've got the Imp, which is a rare. During either main phase, if you control the main dragon, you can discard this card. This turn, your Memento monsters cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy a Memento monster you control, and if you do, send up to 2 Memento cards with different names from your deck to the graveyard, except itself. We've then got the field spell, so the Undercorpse Center. If your Memento monster battles, your opponent cannot activate spells and traps until the end of the damage step. If a monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to target one of them and special summon a Memento monster with a lower level than the targeted monster from your hand or graveyard. During the end phase, you can target a Memento spell trap in the graveyard and set it. And then the third and final ultra is Bone Party. Destroy a Memento monster in your hand or face up on the field, and if you do, you take a Memento monster with a different name from your deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense. During your main phase, you get to banish this card from the graveyard to target a Memento monster you control. This turn, if it attacks a monster in defense, inflict piercing battle damage. And then, of course, Memento Boneback. If a Memento monster or monsters leaves the field due to your opponent's special summon one Undercorpse Dragon from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. That's pretty cool. If a Memento monster or monsters leaves your graveyard by an opponent, while this card is in the graveyard, you get to banish this card from your graveyard to special summon any number of Memento monsters with different names from your hand and or deck. And then we've got Fracture Dance. If you control a Memento monster, you get to target a card on the field, destroy it, and then if you control Undercorpse Dragon, you can destroy one additional card on the field, or destroy one card on the field. During attack declaration involving your Memento monster and your opponent's monster, banish this card from the graveyard. All monsters your opponent controls loses 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. And then the best trap card, in my opinion, is Cranium Burst. While you control a Memento monster, your opponent monsters that can attack must attack your monster with the highest attack, so basically your big bone daddy. And then when a monster your opponent controls activates its effect, you can target an Undercorpse Dragon you control, make it lose 1,000 attack, and if you do, negate that activate effect. Now that is not a once per turn, so you can do that as many times as your bone monster has attack stats. So at the base minimum, it's going to be able to get 5 negates, and if you can find a way of giving your bone daddy dragon an extra attack boost, you'll be able to do it again. Now, keeping in mind it's a worm, so it's a little bit tricky. It's not like a dragon, even though its name is Undercorpse Dragon. It's neither a zombie nor a dragon. It's a worm, go figure. But yeah. So obviously, unlike Centurions, which obviously have a bit more recursion, a bit more playability, a bit more consistency, this one is all about control. It's all about negation through the Bone Dragon or the Undercorpse Dragon, and then just using it as a big fat off boss towers. So as you can see, when we look at the deck here, the Witch is the ultra rare, and that's £15 a copy. The spell card of Bone Party is £12 a copy, and then your your combined creation, which is obviously your main dragon, is a £10 card, like £7 card. But you can get an entire deck for £100. Whether you need 3s of all of these, I do not know. The little Karibo shown here is not actually in this set, as far as I know. I could be wrong. But yeah, there is also, now they have missed this off, which is interesting. Yugioh Memento Blade. You do also get this guy. So this guy was, there it is. So it's called Momento Dark Blade. You can only use the first, second effect once per turn. If this card is normal or special, you get to discard a Memento card, then target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. But during your main phase, you get to destroy a Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck. So again, the idea is that Dark Blade can now lead you into your Witch. But the Witch is obviously the most important one. That's the one that circulates everything going around, which is where you work for it off. So I believe the Dark Blade is also a collector's rare. There are some other collector rares as well. So when we talk about the Mementos, I believe the Witch is a collector's rare. I could be wrong on that one. But I know that the Dragon is a quarter century secret rare. Moving on to the final art type. So the final art type are the Valmonica. Now this is definitely going to be the cheapest of all of them. So if it does appeal to you, it's definitely something to be looking for. I'm just going to give you an idea of a core being £50. You can get an entire Valmonica core for 50 quid. And again, the reason that this is so cheap in comparison is the fact that when you look at their lineup, they have 2 ultra rares. Valmonica Celta and Valmonica Voice. So hopefully we'll see those when we go through here. So you've got Angelio, the Valmonica. Now both of these two here are collector rares as well. So Pendulum Effect, while there is a Fiend monster card in your other Pendulum Zone, each time you recover life points, place an Echo counter on this card. Once per turn, when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, link summon a Valmonica Link monster. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can discard one other card, take a Demon Valmonica from your deck, and place both that card and this card into your Pendulum Zones. During your main phase, if this card was normal or special this turn, you get to banish a Valmonica normal spell or trap from the graveyard and apply that card's activated effect that would recover life points. The Demon Valmonica. So while there is a fairy monster card in your other Pendulum Zone, each time you take effect damage, place an Echo counter on this card. Monsters controlled by your opponent lose 100 attack for each Echo counter on the field. You can only use the monster effect once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can discard one other card, take an Angelo Valmonica from your deck and place both that card and this card into your Pendulum Zones. During the main phase, if this card was normal or special this turn, you get to banish a Valmonica normal spell or trap from the grave. Apply that card's activated effect that would inflict damage. So obviously you got your demons. It's quite ironic really that the lighter ones are darks and the darks are light. It's only a 3 to 5, so it means it's only going to pendulum summon level 4s, which is interesting. And then you've got the Valmonica Link 1. You can only link summon this card if a fairy monster card in your Pendulum Zone has 3 or more Echo counters on it. Ugh, what a horrible restriction. You can only special summon it once per turn as well. If this card is link summoned, you can target monsters your opponent controls up to number of Echo counters in your Pendulum Zones, destroy them, so basically up to 3 minimum. You can remove 3 Echo counters from your Pendulum Zones. This turn, this card can make up to 3 attacks during each battle phase. I mean, to be fair, it is a Link 1 2500 attack monster, so maybe. And then the darker one, so you can only link summon this card if a Fiend monster card in your Pendulum Zone has 3 or more Echo counters. So you're going to be trying really hard to build up those Echo counters. If a card or card you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you remove 3 Echo counters from your Pendulum Zone instead. Once per opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target one of your Valmonica normal spell or traps that is banished or in your graveyard, apply its activated effect. And then we've got 6th Heaventh Demonic Voice Loom Valmonica. You can only use the second effect once per turn. When this card's activation resolves, you get to add a Valmonica monster from your deck to the hand. Nice. But you can only activate this card once per turn, so you can't do that multiple times. If an Echo counter is placed on a card in your Pendulum Zone and there are now 3 Echo counters on that card, target one monster your opponent controls, take control of it until the end phase, but it cannot declare an attack. And that's a field spell. Normal spell card, activate one of the following effects. If you do not control a Valmonica card in your Pendulum Zone, your opponent chooses the effect. Gain 500 life points, and then you can excavate cards from the top of your deck until you excavate a Valmonica card to add it to your hand, and shuffle the remaining cards in the deck. Or you take 500 damage, and then you get to send a Valmonica card from your deck to the graveyard, except itself. Interesting. Valmonica Intone. So, activate one of the following effects. If you do not control a Valmonica card in your Pendulum Zone, your opponent chooses the effect. Gain 500 life points. Then, if there is a monster or monsters that can be special summoned in your graveyard, your opponent chooses one for you to special summon to your field. Or you take 500 damage, and then you get to add a level 4 monster from your graveyard to the hand. Valmonica Rhythm. If you control a Valmonica monster, activate one of the following effects. If you control a Link monster, you get to activate both effects in sequence. Gain 500 life points, destroy a spell on the field, take 500 damage, return a monster on the field to the hand. And then Selection. Again, if you control a Valmonica monster, you get to activate one, and if you control a Link monster, you get to activate both. gain 500, and then for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot target Valmonica monster cards you control with card effects, or you take 500 damage, and you can negate the effects of one effect monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn. Now, I know this isn't everything, because I know there is a brand new card. So, Valmonica. Let's see if we can find it. There it is. And this is the ultra rare. Let's just find the English translation for it. So, this is the Serit. No, where are you? There we go. All these blooming ads. There we go. Okay, so they've got a brand new spell card, which is a normal spell card, but you apply one of these effects. Unless you have a Valmonica card in your Pendulum Zone, your opponent chooses the effect. Gain 500, and then you can place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck to draw 2. You take 500, and then you can add a Valmonica spell and trap from your deck to the hand except itself. So, when we're going back and looking at the prices of all of these, right, I feel the Valmonicas, I don't think are the worst. I feel that they are definitely lacking in comparison to the other two, but I feel they have a bit more potential to grow. Like, we know where the Centurions are going. Centurions might get another cool broken card, but I still feel that at £400, you're really topping out your budget for a deck that is yet to be proven how competitive it can be. And I mean, I think you can probably get a full-on Rescue Ace deck with a Diabellstar engine for around about the same price, and that's already proven how good that can be. I feel the Mementos at the moment is really leaning towards like the artwork, in my opinion. I don't feel the deck is fully competitive at all. I feel that it relies on too much of stuff that can just get stopped by stuff like Ash Blossom and the generic hand traps that are being played. Not that you shouldn't play the deck, because I feel that if it goes uninterrupted, it can set up a pretty decent board. The fact that it has an insanely powerful boss monster, it builds all protection around it, it does have levels of recursion, and then the trap card is easily searchable to provide you with multiple negations and interruptions, does make it a good deck. Whether I feel that it's worth the current price standpoint, I do not know. In comparison to buying boxes, it can get a little bit tricky. I also feel the Valmonica deck core is probably the best value for money, purely because you'll get 2 ultras in it anyway. I feel that it's a deck that is going to be quite slept on. I like the concept behind it. I just need to test it out to kind of figure out how easy it is going to be in order to kind of produce the echo counters for the deck. And if it's a lot easier to do, then we'll be able to kind of push it a little bit further forward. When you're looking at boxes, £58 on a box plus the discount code takes it down to roughly about £55 a box. Is kind of worth it, because considering in a case you're getting 3 to 4 collector rares, I believe it's 1 quarter century every 2 cases. I could be wrong, it could be more or less. I mean, if it was 1 every box, then you'd guarantee to make your money back. So it's probably like the same as normal quarter centuries, which is what, 3 a case, maybe? So when you're getting collector rares and you're getting the possibility of a quarter century rare, you're looking at a very decent box. Like if your box got a collector's rare and a quarter century secret rare and a collector's rare, you're in the money. If the boxes do not contain a mixture of both, then it might be a little bit more difficult to kind of justify that, but you just never know. Yeah, okay, so looking at the set itself, I feel that it's very difficult. The reprints aren't great. Like, okay, quarter century Archlord Christia, great little attraction to some older style of players, but ultimately I feel the issue is all of the reprints and all of the money that people have had have gone into the rarity collection. That's where all the staples are. You're only really going to be buying this set if you want the Mementos, the Centurions, or the Valmonicas. And even then, when you're telling me I can get a full Valmonica deck for less than the price of a box, I'm going to be more enticed to do that. When you're telling me that in order for me to complete a Centurion deck, I'm probably going to need, out of the 5 ultra rares they've got, or the 4 ultra rares they've got, you're going to need 4 of them at free. It's going to be very difficult to get enough. So like if I was to buy enough boxes for £400 worth, would I get a full Centurion deck? Maybe not. And then when you're looking at the Mementos, again, the Mementos, if you're trying to balance it out on the value of 2 boxes worth, could you complete a Memento core from 2 boxes? The answer is probably not. So it's really one of the ones where if you want multiple decks, like if you want the Valmonicas and the Mementos, it might be worth buying a box and going from there. I do always advise, if you do like the idea of a set, to buy at least a box from the local environment to support your local vendors and your local kind of card shops and everything else. Otherwise, without them, you know, we wouldn't be doing the game that we do, and it'll be a lot harder to kind of play Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh!, you're not going to collect Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's a vicious cycle. That being said, I do feel that singles are probably the way to go a little bit more on this one, just because I feel that if you're looking at buying if you're looking to get into this set, you're looking to get into this set because you want a specific deck from it. That's the whole idea of deck builders. Now, like I've said, we've already seen in the through past sets that decks always get some sort of support. You look at previous stuff, you've got Mechanicos, which are doing incredibly well right now. You've got Rescue Ace also doing incredibly well right now. You had Vanquished Souls were a very, very kind of cool artwork archetype and got a lot more support. When you look at the general playability, like I said, I feel Mementos are a little bit restricted. They might get some cool extra deck monsters, but even then, I feel that their particular type of playstyle revolving around one card and being restricted in how they can summon it will cause it a lot of issues. I like the restriction on the Centurions, meaning that it does lock itself into Centurions at some point, meaning that it does have a nice little bit of a balanced ceiling to it, but I also do feel that it is probably the best of all of the archetypes, just with how much its power ceiling, if it is, how affected the Synchro monsters are, how much recursion they've got. I feel that it would be a very, very good deck going forward. And like I've already said about the Valmonicas, I feel that at the investment of £50, maybe an entire core for £40 pre-release or post-release, it might be more value for your money just because of what it can offer you. And I feel that there's more room for growth. Like, I feel that the Centurions will be very, very popular, and I feel that their prices might dip a little bit, quite like Vanquished Souls, but then all it will take is one new card and they'll go through the roof. I feel Mementos are only going to come down. I feel their value isn't going to stay high for long. I could be wrong on that, but again, that's just my personal opinion. And I feel the Valmonicas, even if their prices do come down, I can't see it coming down by far. And I feel that it could be a nice little investment at like £30 to £50, just on those off chance that if they do get some new support, it could take them to be incredibly powerful. But for now, that is it for the video. I hope this has given you a bit of a breakdown. So to buy or not to buy Valiant Smashers, well, ultimately it comes down to, are you interested in any of the decks? And if you are interested in any of the decks, unless you're interested in multiples, you're probably better off going for singles because the reprints just aren't there. They've saved Droll and Lockbird and they've saved Imperm reprints for the Fire King structure deck, which comes out in the second week of December. And I feel this release of this set is quite badly timed because it is right after the Rarity Collection set, which in my opinion, I probably think is one of the highest bought sets of the entire year, if not of Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time. I would be amazed to find out what the actual sales figures were for the Rarity Collection set, because I didn't buy huge amounts of it myself, but I know every time they went to locals, it's like, you got the Rarity set in, you got the Rarity set in, bought packs, bought booster boxes, like it's sold like wildfire, and it's kind of made all of the staples a heck of a lot cheaper and easier to get a hold of. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Also, let me know what you are looking forward to in this set, if anything, and go from there. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.